A wonderful event. Somebody approved that. With this day and age, don't you know I'm male? That's about as good as it gets. A great question from Tip Off. And have the Jazz quietly become Locke's perfect numbers team? It's all next on Tip Off. Boom, boom, boom. 2 days off in a row. Boom, boom, boom. First time since the All Star break. Boom, boom, boom. This is quite refreshing and feels good. Boom, 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 boom. I really can't believe there's haters out there that think this stupid thing bothers them so much they have to comment on it. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff for you. For those of you who heard me on with Spence Checketts and Scott Gerard yesterday, I had just had my eyes dilated, so I couldn't do anything. I had that. I think I shared. I had a pain in my eye. Actually, people got doctors got a little scared about it yesterday. It was a little unnerving. So I ran around doctor tests all day yesterday. Turned out everything's all right. There is a serious chance that the doctor thinks that my eyes from the triple overtime game were just legitimately tired. How weird is that? But anyway, Blues Traveler song. So post that interview, I promptly put on Pearl Jam at Ben Royale Hall and just laid on the couch for 40 minutes. I have not done that since I was single and like 23. That was cool. All right. Last night bowling event at Jupiter Bowl up at Kimball Junction. Josh Howard's foundation. Fabulous turnout. I think just about everybody was there. I can think of only one guy maybe that wasn't there last night. Raj was there with his kids having a blast. All the coaches were on one side having a good old time. Josh was with them. Alec and Derek were into it. Alec and Blake Ahern got into a fierce one. Gordon, who doesn't uh, fierce as in fun. Gordon, who does not bowl, has never bowled, never been into it, rolled three straight strikes at one point. Of course he did. Um, it was fun to watch these guys. I mean, it was fun. It was neat for one. Was Josh, great event. Nice to have his foundation put that together. Two, it was cool in the sense that these guys all got there early, kind of rolled their own. They rolled around privately before the public came. Then they interact, and then the public joined them for their. I guess it's a round. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a bowler. Don't own my own shoes. Don't know a lot of this stuff. But it was cool to see how well these guys get along, how much fun they were having together, how good of guys they are to interact with the public. Uh, you know, the NBA's got a problem that most of you never uh, get to meet these guys. Frankly, you don't meet NFL players or Major League Baseball players either. But I will tell you that these are as remarkably good guys. Somebody asked me, oh yeah, the two good dudes on my way out the door who had this master plan on how to keep Derek Favors and Gordon Hayward in Utah, which was really it was funny. You can guess what it was. Hey, we got good-looking women here. We can, hey, anything you can do. Uh, really good guys, and they asked me who my favorite guy on the team was, and there really is no answer to that. I mean, I spent a lot of time with a lot of them, but I thought that was they opened my eyes a little bit that I had no answer to who my favorite guy was. I mean, I'm not. I don't. The older, more crusted veterans though have less interest in anything involving me, which they all frankly do. Um, but I will also tell you, on Raja, I guess on the other end, I spent a lot of time with. Raj and I just debate and argue all the time, which is fun. All right, I have two non-sports things to start this thing off with. I turned on my YouTube today, and it always has an ad. And it's an ad for the best Nicholas Sparks movie ever. First of all, that's oxymoronic. Second of all, it involves Zach Zephron or whatever the hell his name is. Enron or Efron or whatever. In this day and age, Google, don't you know by now that I'm male? Like, you know everything about me, Google, and you own YouTube. Don't you know at this point that I'm male? I don't care. Nicholas Sparks and me, we don't hang. That's not going to work for me. Notebook? Seriously. In a day and age where every ad that comes on my screen, every mention on my Gmail, you've tracked everything. You threw a Nicholas Sparks movie ad up in front of me this morning. Did your analytics group like go on vacation for a week? And really, Nicholas Sparks with Zach Efron? Book night for the women. Something. But that one should have zero male following. Do you realize how badly you have to be in the doghouse to go to that movie? Do you realize how much you've had to screw up and the things you've had to do for your wife to say it's movie night? For her to say we're going to a Nicholas Sparks movie with Zach Efron, and you have to say yes? Dear God, if you're in that circumstance. And then one other non sports note today. Who ever said yes to this in the first place? Headline Washington Post this morning: Starbucks to stop using red coloring made from crushed beetles. Let me read that again. Starbucks to stop using red coloring made from crushed beetles. When did we decide that was okay? It's a dye widely used in foods and cosmetic products such as lipstick, yogurt. Last time I'm eating yogurt, needed that excuse, now have it. And shampoo. They used in their strawberry flavored mixed drinks foods like raspberry swirl cake and red velvet whoopie pie. They'll end these items by the end of June. So if you're missing your crushed beetles, make sure you run to Starbucks and have some of those items prior to July 1. Holy smokes. Somebody really like, how did we ever get there? I mean, seriously, for a second. You know, if we use crushed beetles, we could get really good red coloring dye. Really? Oh, that sounds crushed beetles. That's good. Do we have a beetle farm? Huh? All right. How good was Chris Nash versus Chris Paul versus Steve Nash last night? That's as good as it gets. That was really, really a lot of fun to watch between those two last night. It was just a fabulous performance uh, on both sides. And Phoenix is tough, man. I don't know. We got to get by Orlando on Saturday, but I don't know about Phoenix on Tuesday. That team is tough, mentally tougher than we are. Has Nash, has that leader. Our building better rock and help carry our guys through it, because I think that's going to be a really, really, really difficult uh, setup. That game, there's a scenario we got to win out. Like, I guess that game could have possibly changed the win out possibilities, but not really. Um, if they had lost that game, they would go to 31 losses. If we beat them, they go to 32. So in theory, we could have lost one more game to 31. They play Denver on Saturday, so I guess in theory again they could lose to Denver, go to 31, and if we lose to them, we're at 31 also, so it's over. I mean, they have to lose to both Denver and last night for us to be able to lose a game to them. If they go to 31, we beat them, get them to 32, we could in theory then have lose on Saturday, or if we beat them, we'll actually if they lose to Denver and we beat them on Tuesday, we I guess would know we're in before Thursday. Is how that could work. So which would make Tuesday even more awesome. So on the Locke offensive rating and my statistical theories on basketball, I love free throw rate. Kevin Pelton and I do a podcast today that will go up at noon. And our Mythbuster topic, by the way, is has the lockout caused more injuries? The secondary thing we get into is how I was looking at free throw rate of players, and I think anyone whose free throw rate's below 5% of their possessions is in a really like Matt Bonner can do it and Steve Novak can do it, but you're really pretty one dimensional at that point. So, who are the players that are there? There were four young players that are first or second year players: Wesley Johnson, Clay Thompson, Patrick Patterson, and Jimmer. And so we talk about that on the podcast. But from a Jazz stand, Rogers at five. Put it this way: Rogers at 5.5% of his possessions go to the free throw line. But so I was looking at the Jazz, and I think one of your theories, um, one of the theories I believe in, is that if you can get a roster where every player on the team uses a possession above the league average, you're going to win an awful lot of games, um, even without a star. And I've talked about how Houston was fairly close to that this year. And the belief is that if you just use every possession a little above average, you become a top 10 offensive team, and and if you have a star, then you're a top 5 offensive team. And also, as you hit the playoffs and they start to take away your options, particularly the really good teams, if you've suddenly taken Dirk away from Dallas, and they're able to move the ball to uh, three or four other guys who maybe they're not great, but they're all above the league average, then you're still in pretty darn good shape. Well, all of a sudden, the Utah Jazz have gotten eerily close to being able to do this. We don't have a star. Uh, my Locke offensive ranking, excuse me, is what I believe it is what I use most. The league average is usually 10. This year, it's turning out to be a little lower. It's about 6.6 because the offense is down from the and uh, and there's another. I have a cringe or grin rating, which tells me if a player uses a possession above the league average, and this year, the league average is a minus 20. Again, it's usually at 0. Um, so Lock offensive ranking, which it really actually let's go with cringe and grin. That really tells you. Now the rating is 0 generally. This year, as I said, it's minus 20. And hey, the best of the best in the NBA who use their possessions better than anyone else in this category. They're up in the 200s. I mean, it's basically whatever perspectively to 0. Um, they use it, and so Manu Ginobili is the best in the NBA today at a use of an individual possession. He's at 226, and Steve Novak is with his 3-point shooting right now is the second best. James Harden is the third. Kevin Durant is the fourth. LeBron James is the fifth. So really, frankly, 4 of those 5 really passed the eye test. Novak's a surprise. Then you go over and realize he's shooting 50% from 3 this year and shooting a lot. Tyson Chandler ends up in there. Tiago Splitter ends up in there. This is now why San Antonio is so good. And you continue down Nikolai Pekovic, Andrew Bynum, Steve Nash. It certainly helps the big guys. Those guys there's about 30 players in the NBA that are above 31 players in the NBA that are above 100 in their in that rating system. So those guys and Dirk's in that group are really the special players. So we don't have that guy. Our best individual use of a possession right now is Raja actually for the year. Remember he did shoot 40% from 3. And then it goes to Gordon Hayward, who's at 66. So we don't have anybody elite, but you suddenly run through this. Hayward's now above league average. Devin is above league average. Paul's above league average. Favors in this order is above league average. Ennis is above league average. Al is above league average right now. He's actually having a pretty decent, for him, efficient year. He only goes to the free throw line 6.6% of the times. Damari Carroll's above league average. The only players on our roster that are getting time offensively right now that are below league average are Alec Burks and Jamal Tinsley. By the way, for the season, Jamal Tinsley and Earl Watson are about the exact same for all of the other stuff. And frankly, Earl's a far better defensive player, and he shoots less. But they're actually about the exact same, and neither's particularly good. But Earl goes to the free throw line a little bit more than Jamal does. Jamal never goes to the line. But so all of a sudden, my point on this, and oh my gosh, it's late. I've got to jump here. But my point on this is that all of a sudden, the Jazz have reached a point where just about all of their guys are above the league average, which is part of the reason why. Well, I mean, we're without CJ, statistically without CJ, without Josh in the lineup, we're better, a lot better, because Damari's better, Alex better offensively, and so really all of our guys that got hurt are guys that are inefficient and have been hurting our offensive production. And as much as Josh was putting in 9 points a game and 4 rebounds and doing a lot of really good things for us, he really was having a very, very inefficient offensive season, um, terribly so actually. So you see those things, and those actually are helping us out a great deal, and are part of the reason why I think we've gotten a good deal better. I was going to look at Gordon's draft class. I got a great question on tip-off, which was Goran Dragic or Kyle Lowry. Who would I rather have? Pretty interesting question. I would say quickly two things. One, Devin is a notch below both those in all my ratings, but not as much as you think. And the second one, I would probably go with Kyle Lowry, but Dragic has had an interesting season. All right, podcast with Kevin Pelton at noon today. See ya.